All right, you guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We're gonna go ahead and give away this now. It's cute. Wonder Woman cup. I didn't make this. We bought it. The last comment on this video by 8 p.m. You're getting the Wonder Woman cup. Go sign up for the mailing list if you haven't already, utahmomshow.com. Utah Mom Show is rescheduled for a physical event May 7th and 8th, 2021. So we're staying. We will be here with more content year-round. This next guest is an extremely influential, strong woman who has been through some very, very hard traumas in her life. Her child abduction was one of the most followed child abductions of our time. She's recently published a new book about what it takes to overcome trauma and find the strength to move on and reclaim your life. Please welcome Elizabeth Smart. Thank you so much. Like I said, we're here with Elizabeth Smart. And we're talking about her new book. So thank you, moms, for tuning in from the comfort of your couch. We hope you're being safe and wearing those masks and social distancing. So thanks for being here today. And Elizabeth, thank you for being here today. How's quarantine? How's it going?
Quarantine is going. It's like it's never ending, but we're surviving. So that's good.
Yep. All we can do, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, yeah, so we would love to hear about from you. So you have this new book, and so I guess I have kind of a personal question I want to ask you. How often are you going, before the pandemic, you're out there and you're putting yourself out there and you're talking about trauma, which, I know is not easy, and I can't imagine what you've been through. So how many times do you limit yourself on how much you're able to go and talk about this?
Well, there certainly seems to be trends. I mean, fall seems particularly busy, and then spring also seems particularly busy. And so those two seasons of the year, I do quite a bit of traveling, which has its pros and cons. I mean, on the one hand, when I'm gone, obviously I'm gone. But then when I'm at home, I have 3 little ones at home, so then I get to be full-time mom when I'm at home, and that's all of summer, pretty much, all of winter, pretty much, and then definitely all those days that I'm at home during the fall and spring. So that's wonderful. On the other hand of things, I definitely deal with some serious mom guilt when I'm not around. So that's a struggle. And when I go out and I speak or present or attend a conference, I definitely try to make sure that I feel like the cause aligns with my own. I try to make sure that I feel like maybe there's not an exact alignment, that it's an opportunity to talk about different conversations that are difficult to talk about. I mean, when is the right age to start talking to your kids about how to be safe, and when do you start taking it to the next level? I mean, what age do you introduce the topic of rape or sexual violence, or even boiling it down further to that, what is enthusiastic consent? I mean,
right.
I'm not a sex ed teacher, nor do I plan to be it, but in this world, it's almost like these are conversations that you have to have, because if you don't, your children are going to get it somewhere else, and it may not be in the format or the context that you want them to have it in.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good point. And yeah, so I won't ask you, specific details of your children. Are they educated on what you've been through? How do you kind of keep the barriers with that?
So my children are very young. My oldest is 5, so I'm 5, 3, and 1.
Wow. Okay.
And I mean, they know that I travel for work. They know that I'm gone a lot. Well, not these days. Yeah. Now they're like, why are you in your room? Why are you locking me out? Why is the door shut? Yeah. I want to come in. Can I watch you? I'm like, as much as I'd like to say yes. But so even though my children are very young, no, I don't go into deep details of my kidnapping. But the things that I do feel very comfortable talking with them about and honestly, they're pretty basic things. I'm sure there are things that a lot of you probably already do. The first thing that I want, even my 1-year-old, my baby, to know is that I love each one of my children unconditionally. There is nothing that anyone could do to them that would make me stop loving them. There's nothing they could do that would make me stop loving them. So whenever there's a moment where they get into mischief or they're naughty, and like I have to have a chat with them or I talk with them, and especially my oldest, Chloe, she's 5. She's very, very sensitive. And so, I mean, if you just look disappointed at her, she runs out of the room and she's crying. So it's always really, really important to me that after we've had our discussion of, why we don't do that or whatever's going, whatever mischief they got into, it's always really, really important for me to come back to them and say, Chloe, like, it's not good to do this, or this is dangerous, or this is why we don't do that. But do you know I still love you? I still love you. Even though this happened, I still love you. I'm just reinforcing that love in them, because for me, that's ultimately what helped me survive my kidnapping, was knowing that my parents would love me unconditionally.
Right.
That it didn't matter that I'd been kidnapped. It didn't matter that I had been raped or chained up or, abused. None of the things that my captors could do to me would affect my parents' love for me. And that's ultimately what I held on to to survive. And I did.
Yeah.
I'm still here. So it's very important to me that my children know that I love them. And that's something that as soon as you push them out, or you sign the adoption papers, or they come into your life, however they come into your life, that's something that, you can do from, they don't have to be able to speak, like, straight out, or be, like,
right.
You start building that bond with them. So that's very important to me. I want them to know that nobody has the right to hurt them or scare them. And it doesn't matter who they are or what position they hold in the world. It doesn't matter if it's a leader or just a neighbor or a friend, that nobody has the right to hurt them. And that if they stand up for themselves, if they fight back, and if they get in trouble for fighting back, then, like, I remember going to elementary school, and there was a 0 tolerance policy where if you fought, then there was automatic suspension. My oldest, she'll just be starting kindergarten in the fall. Well, hopefully starting kindergarten in the fall.
Yeah.
But I want her to know that if she ever finds herself in that situation and like she gets in trouble for standing up for herself or fighting back, like, I'm on her side. I'm on her side 100%. Like, we're going to get ice cream. We'll go shopping for whatever she wants. Like, we'll go to Hawaii, because that's exactly what I want her to do.
Yeah.
And I don't care who it's coming from, because nobody has the right to hurt her. And I want the third point that's really, really important to me is that I want her to trust me. I want her to feel like she can tell me anything that happens. And so right now, that's leading to her, like, telling on her little brother when he finishes the last of the Cheetos or the fruit snacks. And part of me is like, I hate those toxic orange worms anyways. Like, why do you like them? But that's important to her. So I'll talk to her about it, and she'll tell me, why she's upset, or, and I just hope and pray every day that I'm able to maintain that as she gets older, because obviously as she gets older, her concerns are going to change. And I hope that I hope she feels comfortable enough to include me in that, in her. I hope she feels like she can trust me, and that whether I agree or disagree with her actions or her choices, that she can still tell me, and I'll still be there for her. So that's the third thing that's really, really important to me. And then the fourth thing is almost sad that I have to address, but I also want to know if someone's paying too much attention to my children. If someone's trying to give them a gift for no reason, or is just talking to them for no reason, and I don't know them, and my kids don't know them, then I want them to come and tell me. And this one, honestly, it's a little bit harder to explain to my kids, and especially because they're young, and my kids are so friendly, and they're like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Chloe. I'm 5 years old. This is my brother. I'm like, what are you doing? Why don't you just give out our address too?
Yeah.
But it's really, really important, because so many predators groom their victims these days before anything ever happens. And so I want to know if someone's paying extra attention to my children. I want to know if someone's trying to give them gifts for no reason. And so I would hope that if someone tried to give, one of my children a gift, they'd first say, oh, let me go ask my mom and see if it's okay.
Right.
And if she says it's okay, like, thank you so much. And at the very least, if they did that, then that would at least bring me into the loop of knowing who is this person and why are they trying to give my children a gift for no apparent reason.
Right.
So that's really important to me.
And I think as social media, I think it's a complete valid concern. And even more so, it's funny because, all the time we hear, don't take candy from strangers, don't do this and that. But we actually don't talk about, don't form a close bond with so-and-so's friend. Don't form a close bond with the neighbor dad.
And that being said, with all my concerns and everything that I just talked about, I mean, it's important for my kids to know that for the most part, people are good. People are kind. I mean, you don't need to be scared of every person that comes across your path, even though it sounds like I probably am instilling fear into my children. That's not my goal at all. And there are so many more good people in this world than there are bad. And I certainly want my children to see the world as the beautiful, inspiring, creative, incredible place that it is. I just also want them to be able to see the other side as well and realize that there are some very dangerous people out there and there are bad things that can happen. So if we can prepare them, educate them to whatever degree that we can before they go out into the world, whether that's kindergarten, college, job, marriage, whatever, then that's what I want to do.
Right. That's a wonderful goal, and that should be everybody's goal. I mean, we can't grow unless we're educated from all points. So that's fantastic. And I guess tell me a little bit about your book. You've spent a lot of time. How long did that take you to write, and kind of what does that cover?
So it took me about a year to write, and it was a journey in and of itself. I took the questions that I most commonly get from speaking and from doing presentations and Q&As and everything that goes along with it. And I took the most common questions that I get, and I thought, well, if everyone keeps asking me these questions, there must be some, not just validity behind it, but there must be a reason behind it. I mean, I must not be the only one who's ever struggled with these kinds of topics. So maybe if I try to write it in a book, maybe it can help someone else struggling with these same kind of topics or issues. And as I thought more and more about it, I thought, well, yes, like I have some, out of the ordinary experiences, but even my experiences, really, that's still a pretty narrow set of experiences. I wonder if I could reach out to other people who have been through trauma or who have experienced hardship or who have struggled in their lives and get their answers to these questions as well, because wouldn't that be great? I mean, that means if whatever I say doesn't resonate with someone reading, maybe one of these other people, maybe what they have to say will. And so that, I mean, I've felt like I really wanted anyone who picked up this book to feel like something resonated with them. I mean, whether it was from me directly or not, I wanted them to walk away feeling like there was something of value in this book. And so I went out and I hunted down and I searched up people who inspire me, people who I feel like are personal examples to me, people who, honestly, some people I didn't know their stories, but I heard about them and then I met them and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, you are incredible. You just blew my mind. And sometimes I thought I had anticipated their answers and then they would give me their answer and I couldn't have been more wrong. And so it was a journey for me. I mean, it was a very inspirational experience for me. I mean, I felt like I learned a lot from it and I grew a lot from it. And I mean, it definitely pushed me and it definitely stretched me. And I got pretty good at taking constructive criticism. But it was overall a really impactful, positive experience in my life.
And kind of a weird question. If you could give yourself some advice at the beginning writing that book, you know, as yourself now, what would that advice be?
It's worth it.
Keep doing it.
Because writing a book, at least for me, I mean, you know, there are some amazing writers out there and there are some just like brilliant people out there. And I'll be the first to admit it, for me, it's very intimidating to think that I could write a book, to think that this is something that I could do. I mean, I grew up reading other people's works. You know, in school, you read other people's works. It's not like you're publishing anything yourself.
Right.
In school or anything. And so it's an experience really unlike any other, in my opinion. And for me, it's pretty intimidating. I mean, you're putting yourself on paper, on record, for anyone just to pick up and read and agree with you or disagree with you or walk away thinking whatever they think about you. But you are on record as having written that. And not only that, but I mean, just the thought of, you know, like tens of thousands of words, like how many pages do you have to fill up to write a book? And I mean, I just remember kind of thinking growing up, like, oh, I mean, for years I didn't write my own personal story, my first book, because it just seemed so daunting to me. I mean, how could I possibly write a book about what happened? I mean, how could I capture the details and the experiences as they really happen? I mean, I would be sure to forget something. I'd be sure to leave something out. So for me, it's a pretty intimidating experience. And there were definitely times along the way that I kept thinking, why am I punishing myself? Why am I doing this? It would just be easier to not. It would be easier just to, I want to say, stay anonymous. But I'm not quite sure that could work for me. But I don't have to do this. No one's forcing me to do this.
Right.
And so if I could go back and tell myself something, I would tell myself, it's worth it. Keep going.
I said this to someone, you know, every time that you speak, you're essentially reliving trauma every single time. And that's not an easy thing to do. I mean, I haven't been through something that you've been through, but no matter what, when you kind of get a taste of that, I at least in my perspective, I didn't want it to be my identity to relive it. So you're very strong. And I hope you know that I've watched a bunch of your content, and just hearing your story, it's really inspirational for, you know, people who have loved ones to come home to, and the people who don't, and people who just have, you know, those night terrors, because we got to push through it. And so thank you for sharing your story, because I know it's not easy.
Oh, well, you're so kind. And I mean, like for me, I definitely have to work to find a balance. I know it's so silly, but even lately, like I finally have watched The Tiger King, but I was really hesitant to watch it. I mean, I'd see like it come up on Netflix, you know, it's like the first preview on my Netflix screen, and it was there forever, and everyone was like, oh, you know, have you seen it?
Yeah.
And the social media's going crazy with it. And I was just like, oh, I just don't know if I want to watch it, because I mean, since the lockdown, I've spent just so much time working on my foundation, and you know, we've started a podcast, and we talk about, you know, a lot of pretty hard topics all the time. We've been pre-recording a lot of episodes. We have different therapists come on and talk about different therapies. We have survivors come on and share their stories, and we spend a lot of time really, I want to say, exploring the dark. And by the end of the day, or by the end of my conversations, I am usually exhausted. And so then I turn on Netflix, or it's, I finally get my kids to bed and I come down and I come sit with my husband and we turn on the TV and Tiger King pops up and I'm like, no, I can't watch that. I was like, I don't know what it is, but it looks like there's some crazy in it. And I don't need any more crazy in my life. I was like, let's turn on the British Bake Off again. For the billionth time. I'm not joking. My brother asked me the other day, Elizabeth, what's your dream job? And I was like, I want to be on the British Bake Off, but I don't want to be the contestant. I don't want to be the judges. I want to be Mel and Sue or Prue. No, not Prue. She's one of the judges. I want to be Noel or Sandy. I guess they're getting a new one. I know everyone wants to go down the British Bake Off rabbit hole with me.
Yeah. Oh, I do.
But I was like, that's what I want to be. And he's like, oh. He's like, that's not what I expected.
Yeah. Oh, my son is obsessed with Nailed It, by the way. Nailed It. That one's, So, but I understand that sometimes you can't put your headspace in that headspace anymore. Like when you just need a positive, or sometimes I know for me, if I'm working too much, I like instrumental music. I can't listen to music with lyrics sometimes. I just need no words so I can.
Yes. You have to find that balance in your life. And so for me, being in sort of these darker areas so much, at the end of the day, I don't want anything emotional. I don't want anything that's scary. Oh, I never watch scary, ever.
No.
Can't do it.
No.
I don't want anything emotional. I don't want anything scary. I don't want a thriller. I don't want violence. I just want something light and uplifting, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Oh no, I change any movie. If someone convinces me to watch a scary movie, if there's any sort of the children could possibly be in danger, I'm like, nope, we're changing it. And I change the show immediately. So I feel that heavily.
I mean, Finding Nemo. I know kids love it everywhere. People love it everywhere. It's it's well done. I'm not criticizing it at all. But part of me is just they're showing this fish being kidnapped, and basically he makes all of these new friends. Wow, he's kidnapped. That's not how kidnapping works.
That's not what happens, you guys. Yeah, that's so true. What is your, I want to say, kind of umbrella tip? Because as you mentioned, not everybody has gone through what you've gone through, but anybody who's been through trauma, we understand that when you get far away from it, sometimes it spikes and it does that. So what do you recommend for someone with any sort of trauma? What's the first step to doing that, to helping yourself, I guess?
I mean, the first thing I would want them to know is that no matter what you've experienced, what kind of trauma it is in your life, that you deserve to be happy and you deserve to have love in your life. And you deserve all of the positive things in life. So don't allow whatever it is that you've experienced to stop you from living the best life you possibly can. And as I mentioned, I've been doing so many of these podcasts lately, pre-recording them, and I have had the opportunity to talk to so many therapists, and they're honestly I always knew there were lots of kinds of therapy. I had no idea just how many kinds. I mean, I feel like I'm still barely scratching the surface, because when I talk to someone, they're like, oh, you know who you should talk to? You should talk to this person. Their specialty is this. And I'm like, what? And so if there is no shame in asking for help. There is no shame in seeking out therapy. Someone that I interviewed said that she'd been a victim of abuse, of rape, and as after she walked away from it, she felt like her body was filthy. She felt like her body was ruined, and she just like, she couldn't be at peace within her own body. So she started doing all these sort of really physical events, like running and competing, and she finally was like, you know what, if I can get up on a stage in a tiny little glittery bikini and heels in front of people showing this body that like I have worked on so hard, like to me that is going to be the ultimate like that's going to be the ultimate I can't even remember the word she used, but that's going to be like the ultimate proof that I accept my body for exactly how it is. Because there's literally, I will have nothing to hide it behind. And so she talked about that, and she said, but you know, when I started going to therapy, that was by far the hardest workout I have ever done. She's like, that mental workout was so hard, but it has helped me so much. And just as I've been learning more about therapy and the many, many different kinds, I just feel like, you know, you find what's right for you. There is no one size fits all. I mean, for some people, you know, it might be like healing and moving forward might come totally from within themselves or their families, you know, and they may not feel like the need or the desire to go to a therapist. But if that doesn't happen, or that's not you, there is absolutely no shame whatsoever. It actually takes a great deal of courage to go to a therapist, and it's not easy. I mean, you know, this woman is proof that of her saying it was the hardest workout she's ever had. And here she was like a pretty big athlete.
Yeah, she's done every hard workout that exists.
So it's a big deal. And just because you try one kind and you don't like it, you don't need to give up. I mean, there are so many different kinds. And then, you know, like maybe you find the right kind, but you find the wrong therapist. I mean, you keep trying until you find what works, because life really should be beautiful. Yes, there will always be challenges. There will always be struggles. I mean, I wish that there was, you know, a magic formula for optimal happiness and joy and peace all the time. But unfortunately, I don't think anyone's found that yet. And certainly not me. But I do just believe that it is worth striving for. It is worth working towards. And so if this is going to help you on your way, then embrace it and keep trying until you find what works for you. I mean, maybe it's music without words, without lyrics. It's instrumental music. Maybe it's watching the Great British Bake Off. Maybe it's running. Maybe it's, I don't know, walking your dogs, or maybe it's dance, art. Maybe it's sitting down with a therapist. Maybe it's sitting down with a friend. But find what works for you, because you deserve to be happy. Sorry, I could keep going.
I love it.
It's kind of hard to stop sometimes.
And that's how you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, because you're passionate about helping others and, you know, get out of, you know, obviously we can't save everybody. And unfortunately, I wish that there was no more kidnappings in the world. I wish that there was no more rapes. I wish that there was no more new traumas to overcome. But, you know, if we didn't have people like you to look up to, we couldn't overcome those and the more to come. So again, thank you. And thanks for being passionate about it, because you can tell you're very passionate about not letting people stay in a headspace that you're obviously familiar with. So yeah, thanks for being transparent. It means a lot.
Well, thank you very much. And I mean, thank you to all the people who have been there for me and have supported me and have been my inspirations and my role models. I mean, so we all need each other at the end of the day. There's room for it all.
Like, top of your head, who's your top like 3 influencers that are, you know, that come to your mind?
Well, my parents, my mother-in-law, actually, she is like, I feel so lucky because some people are like, oh, my mother-in-law's driving me crazy, but I absolutely adore my mother-in-law. So certainly those come to mind. But I mean, even as I just start thinking, I mean, geez, you know, the work Brene Brown has done is amazing. I mean, like, I just go like on any social media, really, after scrolling for even just a couple seconds, I usually come across someone that I'm like, wow, like, good job. You are amazing. I mean, Diane von Furstenberg the other day, she posted about her mom, who was a survivor of the Holocaust. And she talked about how her mother never allowed herself to be a victim. And I mean, like, I find that incredibly inspirational. I mean, her mother, like, survived the Holocaust. I can't even imagine what horrors she must have seen. And if anyone deserves to feel like a victim or targeted in their life, I mean, it would certainly be them, would certainly be her.
Right.
And she didn't. So, I mean, I was grateful for that. I mean, Tory Burch, she always recognizes her mother, and she's all about empowering women. And, here she is. She's got a huge fashion industry. I mean, there are so many strong women around us. Cheryl Strayed, the author and the woman who hiked the whole Pacific Crest Trail. Like, what a strong woman for us to look up to. I mean, there are so many, and I feel so inspired when I see these different women using their platforms, not just like for their business, but for doing good, for making change in the world. I'm so inspired.
Yeah. No,
I could keep going. So
yeah. Well, we'll stop you there. I mean, we adore it. We'll have you all the time. And actually, we'd love to have you next year for a physical event too. So we'll keep in contact, and
please do.
Yeah. Everybody leading up to the event, just so you know, everybody, we told them that we were bringing Elizabeth Smart, and whether or not they heard of your story or they've already heard you speak, they were so excited for you to come. So Utah loves you. And I mean, we started this event, it was originally going to be a nonprofit for suicide awareness. And, it just kind of evolved into that there's so many great nonprofits to support that we were like, hey, let's just make an event for moms, because we felt like the area was just kind of lacking in something that was highlighting the YouTubers and more of an electronic side of it. So we wanted to, get into that. And you've been on our radar since we started. So I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so flattered, and I'm so happy that you're doing what you're doing, because I know each one of us kind of gets into like our track that we're on, and we're like, well, my cause, it's so important. My mission, my life is so important. And it is. But then you start taking the little step outside yourself, and you realize, well, wait a second, like suicide prevention, that's pretty big. And actually, and then you learn about like children who can't read or who are struggling in school, and then you learn about, like health problems, or, like when you see like these little tiny children like hooked up to all these machines in the hospital, and you actually realize at the end of the day, we need everyone to feel that passion in each of these different areas, because we can't have everyone focused on the same issue, because I mean, we need all these issues worked on. So I think it's amazing what you're doing. And I'm so flattered that you think of me and you'd have me. And yes, definitely. Please have me next year so that we can do this in person.
Yeah, of course. And I'm so excited for life to go back to being life. So it's, we'll talk next year. Sorry, let me decompress. Let me get my thought back together. I haven't had to record myself this much before. I mean, like I have, because we've started our YouTube channel, but yeah, this is lots of lights in my face. I'm sure you're used to all this though. So
I don't know if I'm used to it, but we do.
Yeah, you do. I really wanted, I just saw the need to talk about hard issues in a mom event. And so when I saw that there wasn't something exactly like my event yet, I just was like, and now we're here, and so.
Well, and that's amazing. And I mean, like, I know today I'm here as Elizabeth Smart, but if there's ever anything that, my foundation can do to help support or help, in any way we can, like, please keep us in mind. We do this podcast, we talk about the different issues, and we tell survivor stories, and we try to really help spread education and awareness and understanding and compassion. And then we, that's currently probably where 90% of our focus is, just because we can't do our other focus, our other goal, which is we do self-defense programs for women and girls. And the woman who is our head, she is world champion of her weight class of jiu-jitsu, and we've had a number of people contribute to the curriculum of our self-defense class. And so we're about empowering and supporting women and girls and educating everyone.
So, okay, well, thank you so, so much for being a part of our show and taking your time to chat with us. What is the name of your podcast? Where can we find that at?
So my podcast is Smart Talks, and it is on my website, on the foundation website, which is elizabethsmartfoundation.org. So pretty straightforward, and will soon be on iTunes and Google Play. I mean, we literally just launched it just barely. So it's brand new. So it will be on those platforms very soon.
Nice. And so this was something you did because the pandemic had, or something you had in mind, but now we're doing it?
We always planned on doing one. We always planned on doing it. I mean, I've been talking about it for years and years and years and years, and we always planned on doing it. We were just so busy moving forward with our self-defense program that we were planning to roll that out a little bit later this year, but then the pandemic happened, and so we couldn't very well teach classes with social distancing and lockdown.
Right.
So we decided, well, what a better time. I mean, I can't imagine a better time than right now to be launching this and to have it start. So we kind of changed gears really fast, and that's where our focus has been since the pandemic started.
Nice. No, I love it. Awesome. So yeah, we'll link all of that information below for you moms to check out. So thank you so much for your time again, Elizabeth, and we will see you guys soon with our next speaker.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.